The night the sky fell over Buga, Colombia, the world didn't notice. Not yet. No breaking news alerts, no frantic government statements, just a handful of farmers, their faces lit by the eerie glow of something metallic tumbling from the heavens. It struck the earth with an unsettling quietness, as if it had meant to land there, and when they pulled it from the soil, their hands recoiled. The thing was cold, unnaturally so, like ice that refused to melt, even under the sweltering Colombian sun. This was no ordinary debris. The sphere, smooth and seamless, bore strange markings, delicate grooves that curled like forgotten letters, a language no one could read. It weighed just over 4 pounds, yet it felt heavier in their hands, as if it carried something inside, something waiting. Within hours, whispers began. Phones flickered and died near the crash site. A farmer's compass spun wildly, possessed. And then came the hazmat teams clad in bulky protective suits, their presence a silent scream. This is not normal. Officials called it space junk, then backtracked. A military helicopter, unregistered, circled the area under the cover of darkness. The contradictions piled up. Then came the scans. When scientists finally placed the sphere beneath high resolution CT imaging, the truth cracked open. This wasn't just a metal ball, it was a shell, a Russian nesting doll of secrets. Three perfect layers, one inside the other, shielding a dense, icy core. Tiny microspheres, arranged with impossible symmetry, orbited the center like planets around a dark star. The precision was manufactured. This was engineered. But by whom? Theories erupted. A gyroscopic stabilizer for some unfathomable vehicle? A probe packed with sensors or encrypted data? Or worse, a power source humming silently, waiting to be awakened? The scans couldn't lie. The core was colder than the outer layers, defying physics as if it were built to preserve something or hide it. And then the leaks. Portions of the scans vanished, redacted. Military officials from Colombia and Brazil slipped into labs, their interest too sharp to be casual. The sphere, once dismissed as debris, now sat at the center of a tightening web of silence. But the most chilling detail, the markings. An AI trained on ancient scripts detected patterns in the sphere's engravings, echoes of pre-Columbian glyphs found in the nearby San Agustin ruins. Was it coincidence or a message carved in a language lost to time? One thing was certain, this wasn't space junk. This was something meant to be found, and now the world was watching. The scans revealed the impossible, the core, that dense, impossibly cold heart nested within the sphere's layered shells. It wasn't just hidden, it was cloaked, shielded by alloys that seemed to drink the light and defy the probing gaze of science. Preliminary scans sent shivers down spines that had nothing to do with its subambient temperature. X-ray fluorescence teased out traces, whispers, really, of rare Earth isotopes. Not the common industrial cocktail you'd find in a Colombian factory or even standard aerospace debris. These were fingerprints of something else. Metallurgists, their usual clinical detachment cracking under the weight of curiosity, leaned closer. The arrangement wasn't random clutter. It was a constellation frozen in metal. Those tiny microspheres, 18, 9, the number itself elusive, weren't scattered. They were placed, orbiting the dense core with a symmetry so perfect, so deliberate, it screamed of intelligence. Not just design, but purpose. This wasn't debris, it was a meticulously crafted machine, a device whose function hummed just beyond the edge of understanding. Then came the contradictions, thick and fast, like storm clouds blotting out the sun of transparency. Officials, their voices tight, first called it unidentified debris, a bland term for the utterly extraordinary. Then, before the lab dust had even settled, the narrative pivoted sharply, likely space junk. Case closed, not even close. The speed of that dismissal felt less like conclusion and more like containment. Independent researchers tracking the case exchanged wary glances. The scent of a cover-up, acrid and familiar, began to taint the air. And the Air Force? Denied involvement, flatly. But leaked flight logs painted a different picture. An unregistered helicopter, a ghost in the machine, hovering over the recovery zone the very night after the sphere was pulled from the muddy field. Routine training, came the bland military response. a phrase that rang hollow against the silence in the official flight schedules. Routine training doesn't happen in the dead of night, off the books, over a field holding the century's most perplexing artifact. The world began to stir. Whispers became calls, then formal requests. Labs in Germany, renowned for materials science that pushes boundaries. Institutes in Japan, masters of precision engineering and miniaturization. Research hubs in South Korea, pioneers in advanced energy systems, all formally petitioned for access. The University of Tokyo offered neutron diffraction, a way to peer into the crystal soul of the core without breaking its cold shell. CERN, the cathedral of particle physics, proposed using its colossal accelerators, not to smash atoms, but to map the sphere's composition down to the very fabric of its being, atom by atom. This wasn't just academic curiosity, it was a global scientific alert. Spectroscopy and isotopic testing loomed on the horizon, tests that could crack the artifact's origin story wide open. Would the ratios match earthly ores, the familiar signatures of terrestrial industry? Or would they whisper of isotopic blends forged in crucibles far beyond our solar system? Dr. Harvey Lowe's voice, measured but charged with the gravity of the unknown, cut through the noise. Engineered symmetry, layered shielding, this demands deeper analysis. He wasn't crying aliens, he was stating the blindingly obvious. This artifact stood outside every known category. It wasn't behaving, it was rewriting the rules as it sat there, cold and silent. Timing is the ghost in every mystery. The sphere's descent into that Colombian field wasn't an isolated incident floating in the void. It fell just weeks after multiple nations, their radars painting frantic pictures in control rooms across continents, tracked something. High, unidentified, moving with purpose, then gone. Vanished from scopes not over some remote ocean, but precisely over the skies of South America. The coincidence hangs heavy, a question mark burning in the dark. Was this sphere the culmination of that silent chase? The physical evidence of something that slipped the net of detection only to fall, literally, to Earth? Or was its arrival something else entirely, a delivery, an accident, a piece of a puzzle we haven't even begun to assemble? Let's anchor ourselves in the known, the tangible, amidst the swirling questions. March 2nd, 2025. Buga, Colombia. Witnesses saw it fall, not a streak of fire, but a controlled, chilling descent of a metallic sphere. Farmers found it, cold, unnaturally, persistently cold, hours after impact, as if its internal chill defied the humid Colombian air. 4.5 pounds of enigma, smooth as obsidian, seamless as a pearl formed in some impossible oyster. No welds, no seams, a single perfect piece, and on that surface the engravings, not random scratches, symbols, patterns that coil and intersect, defying known alphabets, yet resonating with an eerie, algorithmic echo of ancient pre-Columbian glyphs, as if the past was whispering from the future. Nestled deep inside the Bogota sphere, past its 3 concentric shells in the eerie halo of microspheres, lay the real mystery. A dense, dark core, colder than the void of space itself. Scientists leaned in, breath held, as the images flickered onto their screens. This wasn't just a layered object, it was a container. And whatever slept inside had been deliberately, meticulously hidden. The data defied explanation. The core's temperature readings didn't match its surroundings. It was as if the laws of thermodynamics bent around it. Initial X-ray fluorescence picked up rare Earth isotopes, materials not native to Colombia, not typical in any industrial alloy. And then there was the arrangement of the inner spheres. Perfectly spaced, unnervingly precise, as if placed by something that didn't tolerate error. This wasn't just found, it was left. Rumors spread like wildfire. A farmer who'd touched the sphere claimed his fingertips went numb for hours. A local mechanic swore his radio picked up a pulsing signal the night it fell, a sound like a heartbeat, slow and steady, before dissolving into static. And then came the military. Quiet visits, classified reports. A sudden, tight-lipped insistence that this was space debris, Despite the fact that no satellite, no known human technology had ever been built like this, then the betrayal. Under the cover of night, men dressed as police moved in. A black van, no plates, a rushed extraction. Locals watched, stunned, as the sphere was loaded and vanished into the shadows. By dawn, officials denied any knowledge. The lab where the scans were taken went silent. The scientists, suddenly unavailable. But the truth was already loose. Leaked documents revealed the core wasn't just cold, it was shielding something. Layers of engineered alloy, woven like a Faraday cage designed to block scans, to resist detection. The implications were terrifying. This wasn't just built to hide, it was built to survive. And then, the final twist. A whistleblower, voice scrambled, reached out to researchers. The core wasn't entirely solid. Scans had picked up voids inside, hollow spaces, geometric, arranged in patterns that mirrored the sphere's outer engravings, like a key, like a lock. The question was no longer what the Bogota sphere was, it was who it was for. The deeper they looked, the less sense it made. The Bogota sphere wasn't just an object, it was a provocation. Every test, every scan, every whispered theory only led to more questions. The isotopes in its alloy didn't match any known mining sources on Earth. The microspheres inside? Their symmetry was too perfect, their arrangement too deliberate. This wasn't just engineering, this was art. And then came the sound. During a low-frequency resonance scan, the sphere hummed. Not a mechanical vibration, not the groan of stressed metal, but a tone clear and resonant like a bell struck in some distant, unseen cathedral. The frequency was unlike anything in nature. And for 3 terrifying seconds, every electronic device in the lab flickered. Then silence. The scientists stared. The sphere sat, indifferent. It was waiting for something. Theories collapsed as fast as they formed. A power source? Maybe. But why the cold? A data vault? Then why the impenetrable shielding? The most unsettling hypothesis came from Dr. Elena Vasquez, a materials scientist who'd worked on classified aerospace projects. It's not a machine, she said quietly. It's a container, and whatever's inside isn't for us. Then, the disappearances. The farmer who first touched the sphere vanished. The mechanic who heard the signal, gone. Even the lab tech who'd first noticed the core's unnatural cold, his social media went dark overnight. Authorities called it coincidence. The locals knew better. The final clue came from the past. Buried in declassified Cold War files was a single, cryptic report. In 1967, a nearly identical sphere had fallen in the mountains of Kazakhstan. Soviet scientists had recorded the same cold core, the same hum. Their conclusion? Not of terrestrial origin. The file ended with a single chilling line. Subject was removed. Facility sterilized. Now the Bogota sphere sits somewhere secret. The scans are locked away. The scientists have been silenced, but the question lingers, heavier than the sphere itself. If this wasn't meant for us, who was it meant for? And are they coming to